I would have never guessed that I would do a radio show about this ever, and yet here we are. Welcome to Tools to Manifest Your Dream Life with myself, Glenise Hughes. Thank you so much for being here. I am so incredibly grateful for each and every one of you. Yeah, I have done thousands, maybe hundreds, I don't know, many radio shows over the years. This is a brand new one, so if you listen via your favorite podcast app, make sure to find it, Tools to Manifest Your Dream Life, and subscribe that way. And I've always talked about manifesting and actualizing and creating as though everyone can do it all the time. Whatever your dream is, you can do it. Yeah, I'm here to tell you today that, I've matured. Let's call it that. Yes, I am in my 50s, early 50s. I'm 51, I think. I don't even remember. Oh my gosh. So, in my 50s. And I have only just in the last little while really started acknowledging what is true with regards to manifesting, creating, all of that. And this is one of the big ones that I'm really talking about a lot to get out there for everybody, especially if you've listened to me in the past and I've made it sound like whatever you would like, you can have. Now, with that, do I think that nobody should have dreams or nobody should, look at what they would like to be creating or dream big? That is not what I'm talking about at all, okay? At all. What I am looking at, though, is how can you be more present with what is? I highly recommend, if you haven't listened to the first, I believe it was the first show in this new podcast, called Four Hard Truths to Manifestation. It'll be linked in the show notes below also. And also, however you consume this, you might be watching this on video. There should be a link to the show notes somewhere. If not, just reach out. I'll get them for you. So in that podcast, and this one is kind of a deeper dive with regards to not just privilege, and acknowledging, your own privilege, or maybe where you've seen other people manifest things and you're trying to figure out why you can't do it. And so, maybe acknowledging other people's privilege, all that sort of stuff. So when we have a dream, we really have a desire of something that we would like. Often we put it into what I refer to as fantasy. If you're making $1,000 a month, the fantasy could be even $10,000 a month. Heck, it could be $2,000 a month. It's really going to depend. And this is where you need to get present with you. You need to look at what's actually true for you. If you are working 4 different jobs and have no spare time, you've got a family and you're just barely making ends meet. Well, probably honestly on $1,000 a month, you're not, especially nowadays, but you've got no extra time, you've got no extra space. To go from 1,000 to 10,000 is probably impossible in that moment. And so this is where I talk about I'm just starting to talk about really getting present with what is. So we're not taking away the dreaming big. We're not taking away the possibilities energy. What we want to do is have it be more possible for you at that time so that you can work towards a different one. So let's say it's $1,000 and you're working 4 jobs and this you have no other space. So what you could look at then, maybe it's possible within 2 of those jobs to ask for a raise. So maybe your dream is then to get to $1,100 a month or $1,200 a month. So we take it into more of what we could call baby steps, because that's a much easier to take action on than if we went to this fantasy from 1,000 to 10,000. And I know on social media, believe me, I know there's a million people out there telling you how they did it, and it's just so easy. Guys, again, we've got to look at those people. There's probably a lot of privilege within those people. And I don't mean that as a judgment. Believe me, I am very privileged. I'm very, very privileged in so many ways. And that's why I think it's important for me to be talking about this now and really inviting everyone, whether you have lots of privilege, a little bit of privilege, no privilege, whatever it is, to really start looking at things. I'm not a big fan of the word realistically, but I'm not really sure what else to use right now. And so that's the best word. So realistically, in the sense of, yes, of course, there's always another possibility. Always. Is it possible from 1,000 to 10,000? That may not be possible. If you start taking action towards 10,000, for some people, that might get them to the 1,200, and that's exciting and they can celebrate it. Yay. However, most people are not like that. They're at 1,000, they're asking for 10,000, and guess what happens? They make 1,200, but it's not enough. It's not 10. So, maybe they get to 13. Well, it's not enough. It's not 10. And then they go into the judgment, the wrongness, and they start going, in a sense, backwards because it's not the 10. So if you're that person, if the 10 is like the deal breaker, you're a success only if you have the 10, the specific thing you asked for, you're only a success, then change the ask. Please, please. Because every one of us, probably, I can't say for sure, but probably every one of us likes to feel that sense of success, that sense of accomplishment. Like we actually manifested what we asked for. So if you're asking for 1,000 and you are nowhere near 10,000, it's years away because of what would need to be put in place, then please change it to 1,200, 1,100, 1,050. If that's where your ask is. So I say this because it's a really easy example for me to talk about, but please know you don't have to have it specific with how much money you would like. In fact, you don't have to have any specifics when you're looking at manifesting your dream life. You can actually ask for energies. I recently created this really cool 6-step process to manifest your dream life. The link will be above or below if you want more information about it. And I actually had to go through and change so much of what I used to do. It used to be a 9-step process actually, and I had to change a bunch of things. And so this was actually one of the questions. This is what inspired me to do this radio show, because I used to have people go through all these different questions. And one of them now is this actually possible for me? Is this actually possible? Because if it's not possible, then what is? What is? If 10,000 isn't, then what is? So going back to the energies, maybe you would like to feel peaceful. Maybe you'd like to feel peaceful with regards to money. That to me is so much more of what I'm looking for. Okay, so I want you to cut that a little bit too. So for me, that is so much more of what's true for what I'm looking for, rather than the 1,200 or 10,000 or $200 million a month. Having peace with money is so much more of what I'm actually asking for. So often we're asking specifics when really it's more of the energy. So again, you don't have to have specifics at all in terms of like the amount of money, but what are the energies you would like to have with your dream life? And then what I get people to do in this process is actually write it out. So they go through all the pieces and then they write out what their dream life is. Then they get the energy of that as they read through it over and over, and then they go through all of these questions, one of them being, is this actually possible? And it could even be, is this actually possible right now? Because it's possible, of course, everything is possible. I have always been, no, not always, in the last 20 plus years, I have always been about possibilities. Absolutely. My why, actually, there's often with business people say to find out your why are you doing what you're doing? My why has always been, so that every person on the planet knows that something else is possible. Not that their biggest dream is possible. No, but that something else is possible. So again, we go back to those baby steps. And so I guess I did know on some level about this idea that maybe the fantasy isn't really the thing, but there's something else possible. And when we break it down like that, you could have even two goals. You could have one of the 10,000 a month, and then the other goal of being 1,200 a month. So maybe you start asking for that. Again, if we're doing specifics, you do not need to do them. You can actually receive so much with energies. In fact, They're probably much funner for you. You just probably have got kind of caught up in what you're supposed to do, which is, what sort of car and what sort of body and what sort of job and how much money and all of those, that somehow that means anything. Those things, at least for me, once I started playing with more of what I would like energetically, that's when the things started to show up, because it got me out of concluding what things were. The conclusion that if I have $10,000 a month, then it's going to mean blah, blah, blah. That's just a conclusion. Ask for the blah, blah, blah. Yes, that's my technical professional term. Right? So I will often ask people, it's also in that list of questions of, is this a conclusion? Are you asking for the $10,000 a month so you could, buy groceries easily and pay all your bills and have a family, event every Sunday? If that's the case, please ask for those things instead, because those things could show up without having to have the 10,000. Right? You could, I don't know, win lifetime groceries. Who knows? I haven't seen that, out there, but probably somewhere it is. Or you could win a year pass to some rec center that you can hang out all the time at with your kids or something. There's so many other possibilities than this kind of black and white idea that it has to look a certain way or be a certain way. So I'd really like to invite you to look at that for yourself. Look at what you are asking for, what you're dreaming about. And I know money is a big one for a lot of people. So when we're watching, say, social media videos like TikTok or Instagram Reels or something like that, and people are making a big income claim, a lot of times it is from total privilege that they're doing that. And if we don't acknowledge that, then we get really upset with ourselves. We get really judgy of ourselves. We start, joining into that fantasy that, well, if they can do it, so can I. And yes, on one hand, yes, of course. And where are you now? Because if they're making, I saw one last night, a gal making $500,000 a month in her coaching business. If you just started your coaching business yesterday, don't look at her and what she's doing now and go, okay, well, I'll have that by Friday. Because it's not kind to you at all. And then you judge you, and then you'll probably quit your coaching business because you're not making $500K a month. And I know this will be shocking for many of you, but there's a lot of people who say a lot of things that aren't actually true on social media. You just gotta start paying attention to your energy when you watch some of this or you read some of these posts. And I'm not saying you shouldn't, partake in social media. I do. I enjoy it. There's that. But once I started really paying attention, when people said stuff, it was like, oh, wow, this is interesting. The other thing with, say, a lot of the typical manifestors or people that speak about manifestation, which is what she does, is that there's this idea that we are to act as though it's true. That's part of the energy. And I totally get it. And to a certain degree, I agree. But it's possible that a lot of those that you're watching are stating what they would like to be true rather than what is true. And I'm not saying it's not possible for someone to make $500K. I'm not even saying she's not. It's just I really want you to start paying attention to the energy when you're being, watching these things. And if there's this heaviness or ickiness to it, it's possible that it's not actually true. And more important than anything is to stop looking at people outside of you and comparing you to that. In fact, this would have been probably 2 years ago, I think. And I was on TikTok a lot, and I was doing my alternate day fasting, which I still do occasionally, certainly not like I used to do. And I was watching this guy, and back a couple of years ago, I was doing it, truly every second day. And I was watching this guy on social media, and he was doing alternate day fasting, and he'd lost I can't remember, 100 pounds in 6 months or something like that. I mean, it was incredible. And what I finally noticed when I watched his videos, which he was putting them out quite often, probably every day, if not more, I would feel really bad. And I would really compare myself to what he had done compared to what I had done. And and then what happened was I went away for a week, and it was a super busy week. I had no time to be on social media, specifically TikTok. Yeah, I actually didn't go back on TikTok for probably 6 or 8 months because I realized how much it was impacting my mental health to be comparing myself to people. because I didn't lose whatever he lost in the 6 months, then what am I doing wrong? Every time I watched his video, instead of celebrating him and being inspired, I was like, oh, man, I'm wrong again. Or maybe I didn't do the alternate day. Maybe that day was supposed to be an alternate day of to fast that day, and I didn't choose it. Well, now I'm wrong again because I didn't choose it. I ate and I shouldn't have, but really body was asking to. Like, there's so much insanity. So, I mean, I'm talking a lot about this in different ways because I really, really, really get how magical it could be if we were actually willing to be honest with ourselves about what is, be willing to inspire ourselves, be willing to choose greater, but not into fantasy, not to where we stop ourselves, but the reality, again, I don't love that word, but the possibilities that are available right now. There we go. The possibilities that are available right now. If you are in that $1,000 a month and you don't have any space to add anything except maybe a little bit more sleep, please choose sleep and look at what's the baby step. And maybe it's not even a dollar amount. Maybe it's about peace with money. Maybe it's about asking somebody that, that could help you to help you. Maybe there's different ways instead of, just a few hundred extra dollars. Maybe there's something else that would actually be more of what you're asking for. Please don't take from this that nothing is possible, that you're stuck where you're at. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm inviting you to is to really be aware of what is possible with what is right now, and know that every baby step you take will get you where you would like to be. It will get you there. It's just that let's choose baby steps now, and that can actually increase your chance of the bigger ask, the bigger thing you would like. All right. As always, I invite you to my manifesting membership. It is so much fun, you guys. We do a training every month. We do a facilitation call every month. Every Monday, you get a new energetic exercise. There's all sorts of awesomeness in the Facebook group. We are at almost 60 members at this time of recording, and I would love if you came and joined us. Information is above or below. If you don't see it, just reach out and I'll get it for you. Have a wonderful rest of your day, sweet friends, and I look forward to chatting again soon.